Ninth hour arrived the way Nova had mapped it, not as drama, as rotation. The fourth floor was quieter than midterm week deserved. Students slept or panicked in dormitories. Faculty drifted toward late offices or early beds. Curfew patrol density thinned on the archive stairwells because the institution believed its own locks. Nova believed the fault. She climbed without hurry. Scholarship student with a legitimate OpenStack retrieval on her mind, stamped form in folio pocket, face arranged for a person who had nowhere to be except a conductivity text on the third floor that she would never collect. The catalog desk hummed at anchor node 19 frequency, maintenance notation pretending to be furniture, authentication grammar in the wood grain, the guide tone she had memorized against Pren's timing table. 40 minutes on guard rotation. 20 overlap at handoff. 2 rank 4 insignias in the restricted alcove when the replacement arrived from the faculty corridor, and the outgoing guard assumed verification had already occurred because the system was designed for rank twice and called that secure. Revision 7 patch closed the rank authentication branch. The below-threshold presence branch remained open because Torrens' liaison copy looked finished and Pren's complete archive sat in a drawer Nova was not carrying. She was carrying memory, rank 3 in public posture and rank 4 in fingers held back unless abort failed and survival required a ceiling she could not afford to show. The handoff began. Outgoing guard turned toward the stairwell. Incoming guard adjusted stance at the restricted door panel. For 17 seconds, 16 if you were already inside the grammar, both presences overlapped and the authentication loop treated duplicate rank verification as sufficient closure. Nova had been inside the grammar since the 7th step of the eastern row. Below threshold presence, not invisible, irrelevant. The perimeter fault Pren had found in year 1, and she had modified in the failure mode archive's third appendix used authentication loop timing tied to catalog desk hum, handoff window calibrated to overlap seconds. Abort grammar drilled until Pren could recite it without thinking. She did not think. She moved. The inscription panel accepted her as environmental noise below credential threshold. The restricted door opened without alarm. She was inside. 17 seconds had cost her one breath she would not get back. The door closed behind her with the soft precision of institutional confidence. Silence. Not library silence, filtered silence, warded silence, the acoustic signature of a room that assumed everyone within it had earned the right to hear what it contained. Nova stood in the restricted section antechamber and counted. 20 minutes alone was the operational ceiling. Not because the rotation math required it, because memory had limits, because Cadence clock started at 17 minutes past 9th hour and Torren would be notified at minute 18 if she had not exited. Because head favored Practical Gallery's 9th hour, but favored anomalies more than schedules, and Crane's pipeline had already requested forge records on the practice hall corner and restricted maintenance logs. 20 minutes. Memory only. No folios. No stylus copies. No acquisition. Retrieval meant read, encode, leave nothing disturbed. She had written that in the notebook on the eve. Restricted attempt, window. 9th hour handoff. Memory only. Pren. Abort grammar drilled. Torren drawer copy confirmed. Stakes, K, vain text, 14 cipher restricted, 3 sever school restricted. Goal, mother's proof. Secondary, cross-reference cipher grammar against fault DB clusters. Not a raid. Not demonstration. Retrieval and exit. She began with the catalog terminal. The restricted index was not the sanitized kiosk view from year 1 Friday afternoons. Full metadata. Acquisition dates. Review flags. Restriction rationales in the language institutions used when they wanted to sound responsible about withholding. Cipher notation texts. 14 entries. She pulled the list into working memory with the method she had learned encoding embassy foundation panels, location string, title fragment, restriction tag, cross-reference hooks. 1 pass for structure. 2nd pass for the rationales. Dangerous theory. That was the phrase on 11 of 14 cipher entries. Not heritage decoration. Not historical curiosity. Dangerous theory, the approved framework's label for operative grammar that asked questions infrastructure was built to prevent. Morse chapters appeared among them. Annotation histories flagged. Appendix material the public stacks taught as footnotes, while the restricted catalog called it pre-suppression operative density. She memorized shelf marks without touching spines. 14 texts. Dangerous theory. Cross-reference density against her fault database clusters, authentication substructure, exception handlers amputated in curriculum, the same institutional fingerprint torrents pre-archive copy had named without naming. 3 Sever School entries followed in the index. 3 texts never in the public record. Not transferred. Not gap noted on open shelves. Never cataloged in the student-facing index at all, as if the Sever School had existed only in whispers until someone decided whispers required locked shelves. Pre-suppression self-modifying notation. Safety preambles amputated. The fingerprint torrent had shown her on a faded copy that said same hand or same institution without saying it. She memorized those 3 locations with the cold attention she gave anchor node mapping. Then she searched the one entry that hummed in her teeth before she touched the terminal. K. Vane. The screen read, Unregistered acquisition, held for review. Not author deceased in this view. Not cataloged submission. Unregistered, the institutional euphemism for a text that arrived through channels the public record would not acknowledge. Held for review. 7 years if you counted from the embassy's silence, 2 years if you counted from the acquisition bulletin she had seen in year 1 week 1. 1 lifetime if you counted from a daughter who had been told her mother died before proof could be published. She could not access the text. The terminal displayed metadata only. Review status flag. Shelf mark. Access code format. Physical location string Bay 4, Tier 2, position marked hold. No preview pane. No faculty override on a student body that was not supposed to be in the room. Nova memorized the location string until it sat behind her eyes like a password she was not yet cleared to use. K. Vane unregistered, held for review. Her mother's proof behind glass and policy. She did not touch the Bay 4 shelf. Touching created disturbance patterns. Wards logged pressure. Guards on rotation did not read ward logs in real time, but Crane's pipeline did not need real time when it had maintenance requests and authentication anomalies and a scholarship student who was second on the wall and first in places that did not post. She used the remaining minutes on cross-reference. Cipher grammar against fault DB clusters, not copying, correlating. Northeast Loop subset Caden had shared in October without alliance. More appendix exception density against combat practice, missing handler. Sever School self-modification flags against intentionality fingerprint in her private ledger. The restricted section was not one book. It was the institutional answer. She had known that abstractly since year 1 gaps and torrent ceiling tells and the K. Vane kiosk screen that stopped her hand on the stylus. Standing in the room made abstraction way. 14 dangerous theories locked because theory that worked was theory that threatened. 3 Sever School texts erased from public memory because memory without publication was control. 1K. Vane entry held for review because people who could see the cost of being wrong had decided the world was not ready and had never asked the author's daughter whether ready was a word that applied to grief. Minute 12. She ran abort grammar in reverse. Verify exit path, confirm handoff window closing, catalog desk hum still audible through warded walls as vibration in the floor stone. Minute 15. She returned to the antechamber without having removed a single volume from a shelf. Memory only. That was the plan. That was the only plan that left no artifacts. Minute 17. Below threshold grammar on the interior panel. Overlap window at rotation tail, outgoing guard distant. Incoming guard assuming the door had not opened because doors that opened logged rank and her presence was below log threshold if the fault held. The fault held. She was in the eastern open stack row before the replacement guard settled into the alcove stance. No alarm. No footstep behind her. No clipboard appearing from a corridor head had not yet walked. She descended to the 3rd floor at scholarship student pace. She collected nothing. She had taken nothing. She had read everything the terminal and index could give without physical retrieval and encoded it in the cipher architecture she kept in memory, cluster tags, shelf strings, restriction rationales, the shape of proof held for review in Bay 4 Tier 2. 9th hour plus 14 minutes when she passed the night tower stairwell. Caden's clock allowed 3 more minutes before Torin. She did not see Caden. She did not need to. The common room would hold his forged text and his 17-minute promise, and the thing that was not alliance and was not forgiveness and held weight anyway. She reached the 7th floor room at 9th hour plus 16 minutes. She sat on the bed edge. Her hands were steady. Her teeth still hummed catalog desk frequency. She did not write in the notebook yet. Writing too soon created impulse artifacts, the wrong word, the wrong name, the emotional adjective heads reports hungered for. She breathed until breath matched hum. The breach was complete, not the rage she had refused to name, but retrieval without acquisition, exit without disturbance, proof located without proof held. She lay in the dark and began the second operation, not entry, but encoding. The catalog lived in memory now, 14 cipher texts marked dangerous theory, 3 sever school texts that had never been public, 1K, vein entry unregistered and held for review in Bay 4 Tier 2, text inaccessible, location absolute. Her mother's name on a shelf she could not open. The work continued, not yet the ending, but the beginning of what memory could carry until rank or law or the false next window made carrying insufficient. She closed her eyes. The hum matched. She waited for dawn and the careful work of being a person who had been nowhere worth reporting. Almost believable. Almost. Encoding began before dawn because sleep would have let the catalog scatter. Nova lay in the dark and built the memory structure the way she built fault database clusters. Anchor first, branch second, compression last. Anchor, restricted index complete pass, terminal metadata only, no physical disturbance. Branch 1. 14 cipher texts, shelf marks encoded in private cipher shorthand derived from Embassy Foundation notation, restriction tag dangerous theory on 11 of 14. More chapters and annotation histories cross-flagged against combat practice, missing exception handler, and Caden's October Northeast loop subset. Branch 2. 3 sever school texts, never in public record, pre-suppression self-modifying notation, safety preamble amputation confirmed in restriction metadata, intentionality fingerprint match probable at 87% against Torin's faded copy comparison. Branch 3, K, vein unregistered acquisition, held for review, Bay 4 Tier 2, text inaccessible at current credential, location string memorized, emotional payload isolated in subfolder labeled do not open during encoding. The subfolder was the hardest architecture she had built. Her mother's entry did not carry dangerous theory in the catalog language. It carried held for review, the institution's patience dressed as prudence, the same patience that had kept a pre-archive copy in Torin's drawer and a registered submission in limbo and a daughter at rank 3 public face with rank 4 held in reserve like a door she would not open unless the house was on fire. She opened the subfolder anyway because procedure that excluded grief became performance and performance leaked. K. Vein. Unregistered. Not deceased in the restricted metadata view. Unregistered, which was worse in some registers because unregistered meant the institution had the text and would not admit through which door it had arrived. Held for review. 7 years of review without a daughter's access. Bay 4 Tier 2. She let the wait sit for 4 breaths. Then she closed the subfolder and returned to cipher encoding because encoding was what kept wait from becoming mistake. Dawn brought close calls the way Dawn always brought them, not catastrophe friction. She went to breakfast at ordinary hour. Syrah looked at her once across the scholarship annex table. Syrah said, "You didn't sleep." Nova said, "Midterm week." Syrah passed the salt. Salt was contact without performance. Syrah did not ask about 9th hour. Nova filed gratitude without saying it. The library opened at 2nd hour. Head was at the catalog desk. Not clipboard at rail posture. Clipboard at desk posture. Maintenance notation observation. The particular stillness of someone verifying whether scholarship students had learned to love catalog desks or whether catalog desks had logged something worth loving in a report. Nova's pulse did not change. Public face held. She retrieved a legitimate conductivity text from the 3rd floor with stamped form visible and clearance timing that placed her nowhere near the 4th floor at 9th hour unless someone had ward logs she could not see. Head wrote. She did not linger. Close call 1. Proximity without contact. Mid-morning Torin office hours. Pren was in line ahead of her with failure mode documentation and the face of someone who had spent the night not sleeping for different reasons. Torin called one student in. Nova entered alone when the door closed. Torin said, "You look like you encoded something." Nova said, "I look like midterm week." Torin looked at the ceiling. He said, "Caden told me 9th hour plus 17 came and went without incident." Beat. Nova said, "Good." Torin said, "Was there incident?" She said, "No incident worth reporting." Scholar Torin. One phrase. Not a lie. Not full truth. Torin rubbed the bridge of his nose. He said, "The failure mode archive stays in the drawer." She said, "Yes." He said, "Pren doesn't know timing." She said, "Pren knows abort grammar." Pren doesn't know execution. Torin said, "And execution." She did not answer with words. She met his eyes. He said, "Caution." She said, "Enough to clear the corral. Enough to leave no artifacts." His pen stopped. Close call 2. Torin reading absence of denial as confirmation without requiring speech that could be repeated under inquiry. She left office hours with legitimate humidity variance questions answered and the weight of a mentor who knew enough to warn and not enough to stop. Afternoon. Restricted section maintenance notation on the faculty bulletin routine review, authentication panel calibration, no breach language, no anomaly flag. Crane's pipeline 8 routine and excreted conclusions slowly. Head 8 proximity and excreted reports faster. Nova cleared her corral before his circuit completed. Close call 3. The ordinary discipline of leaving nothing on the desk. Encoding continued in the fault database after curfew. She did not write catalog shelf marks in the notebook. She wrote in the notebook, restricted metadata, cipher 14, dangerous theory tag dominant. Sever 3, public absence confirmed. K, Vane, Bay 4 Tier 2, held for review, text locked. Crossref, more appendix density, northeast loop, intentionality fingerprint elevated. Physical acquisition, none. Disturbance, none. Artifacts, none. The entry was operational. The subfolder in memory was not. She sat on the bed edge at second hour past curfew and let the emotional weight arrive now that encoding had given it a container. Her mother had written something the institution would not register. Or had written something that had been registered and unregistered. The metadata did not resolve which. And resolution was not available at Bay 4 Tier 2 without rank 5 and faculty cosign and review board approval that had been reviewing for longer than Nova had been allowed to ask questions in Scholar Torin's office. Held for review. As if review were a weather pattern. As if a daughter's proof were a climate event the Academy could wait out. She thought about the pre-archive copy in Torin's drawer. Magnificent, incomplete, memory without publication. She thought about the restricted entry, complete enough to hum in her teeth, inaccessible enough to be cruelty dressed as policy. She thought about 14 cipher texts labeled dangerous theory and understood the label was not wrong. Theory that mapped authentication grammar and foundation panels was dangerous to people who built foundation panels to hide authentication grammar. Theory that restored exception handlers to combat curriculum was dangerous to people who sold simulation scripture as safety. Theory that carried her mother's initial on a shelf mark was dangerous to her because love without access was a fault that did not close with revision's 7 patches. She did not cry. Crying created artifacts in roommate observation and salt contact and Sierra's witness template. She breathed. 4 breaths again. Subfolder closed. Wait filed. Not gone. Filed. Caden was not in the common room when she passed through for water. Good. The 17-minute clock had expired without Torin knocking on her door. Good. Pren sent a 1-line through scholarship drop. Abort grammar holding. She did not reply. Reply created thread. Thread created evidence. Close call 4 avoided by silence. She wrote one final notebook line because procedure calmed her hands. Aftermath. Catalog encoded in memory/cipher. No artifacts. No acquisition. K. Vein location held. Emotional weight filed. Head proximity logged. Torin channel holding. Not demonstration. Integration next. She closed the notebook. She slept in short cycles for the first time since Eve. She dreamed of Bay 4 Tier 2 and a door that opened for rank twice and called itself secure. She woke before the alarm. The catalog lived behind her eyes now. 14 dangerous theories. 3 erased schools. 1 mother held for review. The institution had not noticed. Not yet. That was the close call that mattered most, not the near ones in corridors and catalog desks and torn ceiling looks, but 20 minutes in the restricted section with memory only and exit without alarm and the world continuing as if rank twice were still security. She had left no artifacts. She had taken nothing. She had more than she had carried in and less than she needed, and the distance between those measurements was rank 5 and law and time, and the fault's next window if law failed before rank arrived. The breach was memory now. The work was integration. Anticipation had become aftermath, and aftermath had become architecture, catalog encoded, pipeline unwatched, Bay 4 Tier 2 waiting behind policy. Almost enough. Not yet. Integration required torrent overlap and time Nova did not have and caution she could not afford to skip. The head and crane pipeline had been tightening since the combat practice crisis, not as confrontation, as pressure gradient. Clipboard at gallery rail. Clipboard at catalog desk. Forge records request on practice hall corner. Restricted section maintenance logs pulled into routine review that was not routine because Crane's office did not request logs for routine reasons. Had filed. Crane decided. Deciding was worse than filing because deciding had Godfather warmth and embassy channels and the patience of someone who believed scholarship students became assets or problems on timelines measured in semesters. Nova stayed careful the way she stayed careful about anchor nodes, metrics, not hope. Day 1 after encoding, public rank 3 face at practical notation review, clean emergent branch, no cipher bleed, no adjectives for head's clipboard. He watched her dismiss the stroke. He wrote. She left before his circuit completed. Day 2, scholarship annex ordinary, humidity correction for Leora without calculating visibility cost. Mara shelved a theory text without cover story because shelving was sometimes simply help. Sarah watched without witness template deployment. Good. Day 3. Torrent overlap by appointment. Nova brought architectural authentication question phrased as academic curiosity. Why would restricted catalog metadata tag ciphertext's dangerous theory when OpenStax called the same notation heritage decoration? Torren closed the door on 1 student instead of 3. Torren said, who told you dangerous theory? Nova said, index language patterns. Restriction rationales cluster. Not a lie. Not the whole source. Torren looked at the ceiling. He said, the open index is sanitized. She said, I know. He said, the restricted index is not student-facing. She said, I know. Silence. Torren said, Lady Vane. Warning. She said, Scholar Torren. 1 word back. He pulled the failure mode archive from the drawer. Pren's cipher on the cover, complete appendix inside, the hole that persisted beneath revision 7 compliance. He said, catalog knowledge integrated into your fault work stays private. She said, yes. He said, not Pren. She said, Pren knows perimeter. Pren doesn't know shelf marks. Torren said, Caden. Beat. She said, Caden knows timing. Caden doesn't know shelf marks. Torren absorbed that partition. Trust deepened slower than overlap. That was still correct. He said, Crane's office requested authentication maintenance records for 19 anchor sites. Nova's hands did not change. 19. The number she carried since Embassy 12 plus Academy 7. Someone upstream had correlated or guessed or inherited a map from a pipeline that ate forged records and restricted logs and heads reports about unexpected directions. Torren said, I was not consulted. She said, are you surprised? He said, no. He said, stay careful. She said, I am staying careful. He said, careful enough for head. She said, careful enough for Crane. He did not argue. Torren overlap deepened without becoming alliance. Channel, ceiling tells, drawer archive, the pre-archive copy with her mother's name that was magnificent and incomplete. Catalog knowledge integrated into fault database across 3 nights of curfew work. Cluster cipher R, 14 restricted entries, dangerous theory tag, more cross-refs, Northeast Loop Authentication Subset. Combat Practice Exception Handler Restoration Hypothesis elevated from probable to operational planning tier. Cluster Severar, 3 entries. Public record absence confirmed. Self-modifying notation flags. Intentionality fingerprint match against removed curriculum texts at 91%. Same hand hypothesis unnamed but mature. Cluster Vein R, Bay 4 Tier 2, held for review. Unregistered acquisition metadata. Legal access path rank 5 faculty cosign review board. Emotional subfolder isolated. Operational priority 1. She drew lines from cluster VANAR to 19 anchor nodes, not because the catalog proved connection, because authentication infrastructure and acquisition limbo shared institutional grammar. The hypothesis sat without a name. Names made heads, reports gain adjectives. Head appeared twice in the week, catalog desk Wednesday, practice hall forum review Friday. Both times Nova cleared space before his circuit completed. Both times he wrote. Pipeline to Crane's office did not require confrontation to tighten. Tightening was head at the catalog desk the morning after restricted maintenance notation posted. Tightening was Seelan reporting administrative hours that looked like punishment dressed as routine for students who had been near Forge compliance conversations. Tightening was a second-year cohort whisper that Master Scholar Head had asked about below-threshold research in the scholarship annex without naming names. Nova heard the whisper at lunch. She ate. She performed ordinary. She filed the whisper under pressure gradient, not imminent exposure. Caden Overlap arrived without appointment. Adjacent Corel in the library quiet hour. Forge tables open. He did not look at her. She did not look at him. 4 days since 9th hour. 4 days since 17 minutes expired without Torrent at her door. He said, without looking up, maintenance logs show authentication panel calibration at 9th hour. No breach flag. Her pen stopped. 1 beat. She said, routine. He said, routine that isn't routine when Crane requests logs. She said, I know. Silence. Operational. Not warm. He said, Torrent asked if I was certain about the clock. She said, what did you say? He said I was certain about 17 minutes. I didn't say what happened inside them. She said, thank you. He said, don't thank me. He turned a page he had memorized. He said, had asked me about your library hours Tuesday. Close call filed. She said, what did you say? He said, that serious students use libraries. Torrent's answer recycled without coordination, either convergence or pipeline testing the same question through multiple channels. She said, Crane pipeline. He said, yes. He said, they're not asking because they know. They're asking because accumulation is how head works and Crane waits for accumulation to become certainty. She said, how much accumulation? He said, not enough yet. Not comfort. Assessment. She filed Caden Overlap separately from Alliance. Hostile observation evolved. Timing shared. Shelf marks partitioned. Forge records compliance still eating his administrative hours. The more crease on her folio unchanged because she had not removed more from her desk since his book return. He said, your cluster tags changed this week. She looked at him. Direct eye contact. He said, fault map offset page. Cipher density notation. You encode when you integrate. She said, you read my fault map. He said, I replaced it exactly. Beat. She said, stay out of cluster VANAR. He said, I don't know what that is. She said, good. He closed the Forge text. He said, rank 5 is 3 ranks away. The number landed without her having spoken Bay 4 Tier 2 aloud. He had inferred destination without inventory. Caden direct when observing. Nova dry when deflecting. She said, I know. He left without forgiveness language. She integrated that conversation into the database as Caden Overlap, watching, partitioning, not reporting to head, not alliance, clock honored. Inference dangerous. Pren Overlap was narrower. Scholarship annex after curfew. Timing tables reviewed. Abort grammar drilled once more because procedure held weight when pressure gradients tightened. Pren said, had asked about failure mode documentation. Nova said, what did you say? Pren said, that I read architectural theory and heritage panels. She said, Torrens channel. He said, yes. He said, the hole persists. She said yes. He said, and you're not using it again soon. Not question. Observation. She said, not soon. He exhaled. Scholarship courage calculating relief without requiring details. The catalog knowledge and fault database changed her map of the institution, not new hypothesis, confirmed architecture. 14 cipher texts restricted because dangerous theory was true. 3 sever school texts restricted because public absence was policy. 1K, Vane held for review because proof was negotiable to people who did not carry the subfolder. 19 anchor nodes requested in Crane's maintenance poll because infrastructure maps leaked upward when scholarship students mapped too consistently in too many channels. She wrote in the notebook, pipeline tension elevated. Head, catalog, practice hall, library hours queries. Crane, 19-node maintenance request. Torrent overlap, catalog integration acknowledged, partition set. Caden, timing held, inference on rank 5 path. Pren, head query logged. Catalog integrated cipher sever Vane stay careful. Not demonstration. The breach was memory. The map was truer. The pipeline was tighter. Careful was not safe, careful was slower than exposure. She closed the notebook, slept in short cycles, dreamed of 19 nodes pulsing on a maintenance request she had not seen but could infer, and woke before the alarm. The work continued, not yet rank 5, not yet legal access, not yet the text behind Bay 4 Tier 2. Closer in shelf marks, farther in scrutiny. The balance was the semester. Caden had been sitting in the common room for an hour without reading on the evening. Nova decided curfew fatigue was an acceptable risk for cluster sever integration. She had seen the pattern before 8th month mark, forged text open, eyes on page, attention elsewhere. Hostile observation at rest. The log category that had no clean name. She had not expected the knock. 10th hour past curfew put the 7th floor corridor in the narrow window when dormitory traffic thinned and RAs patrolled lower floors and the institution pretended students in scholarship housing were either studying or sleeping without intermediate states. Nova was at the desk with fault database open and cipher shorthand visible. Mistake. Curfew fatigue made vigilance expensive. She closed the folio without scrambling. Scrambling was admission. Footsteps in the corridor had been his weight distribution she had logged since year 1 placement, the particular pause outside her door that meant decision, not drift. One knock. Not Sarah's knock. Not Pren's scholarship drop rhythm. She said, come in. The door opened. Caden Ashvale stood in the frame with forged compliance fatigue in his shoulders and 8 months of logged patterns in his eyes. He did not sit. She did not invite him to. Dormitory room confrontation was different from Corel silence, fewer witnesses, less operational cover. More danger that speech would become something Head could quote in a pipeline report where quotation was evidence and evidence became Crane's patience resolving into certainty. The room was small. Desk. Bed. Window-facing capital inscription lights on low calibration heartbeat. Folio closed, but not hidden. Hiding was worse than visible discipline. Caden looked at the folio. He looked at her. He said, what are you actually doing? Direct. Caden direct when confrontation finally arrived. Nova dry when deflecting. She said, why do you want to know? Not evasion. Genuine calculation. Why he wanted to know determined what answer cost. He said, because I've been watching you for 8 months, and I cannot figure out what you're running. 8 months. Enrollment hall flat assessment. Garden hostility. Midterm tablets. Combat practice crisis. Head inquiry. More on her desk without asking acknowledgement. October restricted subset map in 40 words without alliance. 9th hour clock to Torrent at 17 minutes. 45 words of exchange if you counted only the questions and answers that landed like stones in the narrow room. The rest was 8 months compressed into 1 sentence. She said, would you believe I'm not running anything? True in 1 register. False in another. She was running maps and performance and survival and encoding and private rank 4 held in reserve and a catalog in memory without artifacts and a subfolder labeled K, Vane that she opened only when encoding aloud. Running nothing was the true thing that sounded false. He said no. No hesitation. 8 months of observation producing certainty about her shape without producing certainty about her motive. She said, "That's fair." Fair was the word she gave when she had no clean counter and respected the log he kept. Silence. Capital Wind tested the window glass. His knuckles were white on the door edge, not threat restraint. The forge compliance hours had left him thinner in the face than midterm week explained. Administrative punishment dressed as routine. Seelan had said it. Nova had filed it. Caden had not asked her to fix it. Caden had set a clock instead. She thought about Bay 4 Tier 2. She thought about the smallest true thing that could end a doorway conversation without inventory. She thought about partition, what Caden knew from timing versus what shelf marks required. She said, "There is something in the restricted section that belonged to my mother. I want to access it legally. I need rank 5. True. Incomplete." He said, "That's 3 ranks away." Arithmetic. Public rank 3. Private rank 4, she had not admitted in this room. Rank 5 on paper for restricted legal access with faculty cosign and review board approval that had been reviewing her mother's text since before the acquisition bulletin and since before held for review became weather. She said, "I know." 2 words. Closure offered. Closure not accepted, accepted only as information, not as resolution. He looked at her the way he had looked in the common room on the eve 8 months, evolved into something without clean name. Forgiveness not offered. Alliance not requested. Watching not concluded. He said nothing else. He left. He did not slam the door. He closed it with the precision of someone who understood sound traveled in dormitory corridors and sound became Sierra's witness template and sound became heads adjectives. Footsteps down the corridor. Gone. Nova stood in the middle of a room that suddenly felt smaller than encoding work made it. Not really about the restricted section. The sentence arrived after he was gone. Not really about restricted section. About 8 months. About watching. About the gap between what he could infer and what he could not forgive and what he could not stop caring about without naming caring. The restricted section answer was true. Legal access. Rank 5. Mother's text held for review in a bay she had not named. It was also the true thing that sounded like enough to end a conversation without ending the conversation. She had given him destination without inventory. Shelf marks partitioned. Timing honored. Cluster vein are isolated behind operational walls Caden could infer but could not quote. He had asked what she was actually doing. The honest answer was building a map of institutional faults while performing rehabilitation while staying alive while encoding a catalog she had read in 20 minutes without acquisition while holding private rank 4 in reserve while second on the wall and first in places that did not post while integrating 14 dangerous theories and 3 erased schools into a fault database that made the institution's architecture legible for the first time since year 1 gaps. The honest answer was too many verbs for a doorway. Too many verbs for a boy who had spent 8 months trying to decide what she was and had not decided. Too many verbs for someone who had watched Lisa's name destroyed by a system that called suppression transition and had contributed hostile observation to Nova Vane without yet finding the script reasserting. So she had given him the restricted section sentence. Smallest true thing. Daughter truth. Rank path truth. Not raid truth. Not perimeter fault truth. Not 9th hour truth. Not memory only truth. She sat on the bed edge. She did not write the exchange in the notebook. Writing created artifacts. Writing created quotable lines Head's pipeline could harvest from Sierra's observation or corridor acoustics or the wrong roommate question at breakfast. She filed instead in memory encoding. Caden dormitory confrontation. Rank 5 path disclosed. Legal framing. Mother's text named without baymark. He left. Not alliance. Not forgiveness. Watching continues. Memory encoding only. The subfolder next to K, Vane held for review gained a second file. Caden doorway. Weight different from grief. Weight of being seen without being known. Weight of 45 words that were true and insufficient. Sarah was not in the room when Nova opened the door an hour later for water. Good. Sarah would have read the corridor after Caden left the way Sarah read everything. Witness template without deployment. Procedure offered. Silence that was not complicity and not ignorance. Nova drank water. Her hands were steady. Public faced discipline held in private room because private was never fully private in an institution that mapped 19 anchor nodes on maintenance requests. She returned to the desk. She opened the folio. Cluster severer integration resumed because work was the container and work was always the container when emotional subfolders threatened to leak into operational mistakes. Self-modifying notation flags. Intentionality fingerprint at 91%. Same hand hypothesis unnamed but mature. The work absorbed her until second hour. But the doorway scene persisted at the edge of attention the way catalog desk hum persisted in her teeth, low frequency, not painful, not dismissible. Caden would still be watching. He had 8 months of practice. He had forged tables and fault map creases and October subset maps and 17 minutes honored and rank 5 arithmetic now explicitly shared. He would watch differently. Not warmer. Not colder. Different. She filed that prediction without comfort. Morning brought ordinary where ordinary was strategy. Breakfast in scholarship annex. Sarah said, "You slept badly." Nova said, "Midterm week." Sarah passed the salt. Salt was contact without performance. Sarah did not ask about 10th hour corridor. Either she had not heard or she had heard and chose witness template abstention. Nova filed both possibilities. Library corral. Caden absent from adjacent seat. Forge compliance or deliberate distance. Both fit. Head at practice hall form review, not catalog desk. Pressure gradient rotation. Nova cleared her corral before his circuit completed. Torin office hours passed without appointment. Good. Torin overlap after dormitory disclosure to Caden would require calibration she was not ready to perform in a corridor line. Pren sent scholarship drop. Abort grammar holding. She did not reply. Reply created thread. Thread created evidence. The confrontation was 45 words and an absence that weighed more than the catalog metadata. 45 words and a door closed precisely. 45 words and 8 months still unresolved. She wrote one notebook line at dawn because procedure calmed her hands. Caden, doorway. Rank 5 legal path disclosed. Mother named. Inventory partitioned. He left. Not restricted truth entirely. Watching continues. Stay careful. She closed the notebook, slept badly again, dreamed of forged tables and a question without answer sufficient for 8 months, and woke before the alarm. The work continued, not alliance, not forgiveness, watched, almost known, not yet. Not really about the restricted section, but about what you told someone when the full truth would sound like confession and the small truth was still more than the pipeline had extracted. Year 2 practical examination approached the way institutions approached weather, announced early, prepared for late, used as excuse for every kind of scrutiny that was not really about examinations. Nova calibrated public rank 4 reveal the way she calibrated anchor node surveys, metrics first, performance second, narrative last. The combat practice crisis had given her private rank 4 witness in 3 directions, Caden, Torin, Head. Head's report to Crane had said unexpected directions. Torin's counsel had said enough to not demonstrate. Caden's log had said she chose ceiling. Public board still said rank 3. Second on the wall. First in places that did not post. Practical examination was the first institutional moment since the crisis where performance ceiling and survival ceiling could be forced into alignment by proctors with clipboards and galleries with witnesses and heads standing at the rail filing adjectives if she misjudged the gradient. Revealed too little and rank 5 path lengthened by semesters she did not have while Bay 4 Tier 2 held for review. Revealed too much and Crane's pipeline stopped deciding and started acting. Reveal exactly enough and the word lucky remained available without insulting the proctor's intelligence. Calibration was not guesswork. Calibration was data. She built the model in the fault database under tag exam calibration. Public rank 3 baseline, clean emergent branches, approved skeleton, cipher hidden at edges. Torin had taught her to compress until proctors saw diligence instead of archaic grammar. Private rank 4 ceiling, compound branch resolution, counter-inscription response time under 3 seconds, below threshold force redirection if practical track included defensive sequence variants. Witness profile, Head primary threat, Torin secondary channel, Caden observational non-reporting to head, cohort noise as cover. Narrative frame, Lucky conditional branching from intensive scholarship preparation, humidity variant study discipline, combat practice crisis muscle memory without claiming combat practice crisis competence explicitly. Lucky was the word head had accepted at inquiry. Lucky could survive one more examination if the performance shape matched inquiry shape. She ran simulations on paper without paper, mental notation sequences at curfew, timing strokes. The difference between rank 3 clean and rank 4 necessary reduced to milliseconds she could feel in her fingers. Rank 4 in fingers held in reserve like a door she would not open unless the house was on fire. Examination was not fire. Examination was controlled burn. Torin overlap arrived 4 days before practical block. Nova in office hour line with legitimate question about defensive sequence notation variants. Door closed on one student. Torin said, examination calibration. Not question. Observation. She said, rank 3 public. He said, and private. She said, held in reserve. Torin looked at the ceiling. He said, head will expect crisis echo. She said, I know. He said, Crane pipeline will expect cultivation or containment. She said, I know. He said, Caden. Beat. She said, Caden is watching. Torin said, Caden is not head. She said, I know. Torin said, do not perform small. Rian's line through embassy drop, recycled by Torin without attribution. Nova almost smiled. Almost. She said, I won't perform small. I won't perform large. Torin said, good. He pulled the pre-archive copy from the drawer, not for her to take, for him to hold while he spoke. K. Vein on the margin. Magnificent. Incomplete. He said, your mother would have said examination is theater with consequences. She said, I know what my mother would have said. Silence. Torin said, Bay 4 tier 2 weights. Her breath caught microscopically. He had not asked how she knew Bay 4 tier 2. He had not asked about 9th hour. Overlap deepened without inventory exchange. She said, rank 5 legal path. He said, yes. He returned the pre-archive copy to the drawer. Channel holding. Crane pipeline tension did not ease because examinations approached. Tension intensified because examinations were excuses. Head at gallery rail during second-year cohort preliminary drills, clipboard, stillness, filing. Forge records compliance review still eating Caden's hours. Restricted maintenance notation on faculty bulletin again. Authentication panel calibration follow-up. Routine language, non-routine requester. 19 anchor sites in the maintenance pool Torin had not been consulted on. Nova stayed careful. Careful was slower than exposure. Careful was faster than dying in adjectives. She cleared Carol's. She performed scholarship ordinary. She helped Leora with humidity branch without calculating visibility cost. She shelved for Mara without cover story. Syrah maintained witness template abstention. Pren drilled abort grammar in annex without asking about bay marks. The examination schedule posted on the practical hall board. Day 1, notation fluency under time pressure. Day 2, conditional branch chains with witness proctors. Day 3, defensive sequence practical, variant inclusion announced 1 week before block, the same variant family that had failed in combat practice crisis. Nova read the schedule and felt calibration model update in real time. Day 3 was the controlled burn risk. Day 1 and 2 could hold rank 3. Day 3 might require rank 4 milliseconds without rank 4 narrative. She integrated examination parameters into cluster CypherR crossrefs, more appendix exception density, combat practice missing handler, defensive sequence, variant 6 below threshold fault documented by Pren in failure mode archive. The institution would test the scripture again. The scripture was still wrong. She would not save Corwin Haas twice in public. She would not let the sequence fail into injury if milliseconds required private sealing. Calibration tightened. Caden still watching. She felt it before she saw it. Adjacent Corel in library quiet hour. Forge text open. Eyes not reading. He had not returned to dormitory doorway. He had returned to log distance. 8 months of practice. 45 words in the doorway that were true and insufficient. Rank 5 3 ranks away. Legal path named. Mother's text named without bay mark. He said, without looking up, day 3 variant 6. Her pen stopped. 1 beat. She said, below threshold fault documented. He said, pren documented. She said, yes. He said, head will watch day 3 more than day 1. She said, I know. Silence. Operational. He said, lucky only works once per inquiry cycle. She said, this is an inquiry. He said, it's examination. Same clipboard. He turned a page he had memorized. He said, I'm still watching. Not threat. Not alliance. Statement. She said, I know. He left before quiet hour ended. Nova filed Caden watching into exam calibration model, observational, non-reporting to head, inference dangerous, doorway 45 words unresolved, day 3 milliseconds unknown to him but not unknowable. She wrote in the notebook, examination approaching. Rank 4 reveal calibrated, public 3, private 4 reserve, lucky narrative frame. Day 3 variant 6 risk elevated. Head, gallery rail expected. Crane, pipeline tight, 19 node pull unresolved. Torin, channel holding, bay acknowledged without inventory. Caden, watching, doorway unresolved. Not demonstration. Controlled burn. Father letter arrived through embassy drop, technical paragraphs only, humidity variance template, examination encouragement without operational words. She replied technical paragraphs only. Father and daughter communicating in constraints the way they always had. Theo line at the bottom of his letter, precision is not visibility. She burned the copy. Procedure calmed her hands. Examination block was 6 days away. 6 days to sleep in short cycles. 6 days to run mental notation until rank 3 and rank 4 separation felt like breathing. 6 days to stay careful in a pipeline that used examinations as excuse for scrutiny. 6 days with Caden still watching from corral distance and head, still watching from gallery rails and crane, still deciding somewhere upstream with Godfather patience and 19-node maintenance requests. Bay 4 Tier 2 waited, held for review. Rank 5 legal path, 3 ranks away if she performed small, fewer ranks away if she performed large and died in adjectives. Calibration was the thread between. She closed the notebook and opened the fault database. The exam calibration tag glowed in private cipher, not literally, metaphorically, the cold satisfaction of a model getting truer. Practical examination approaching. Public rank 4 reveal not yet executed, but calibrated and ready, not safe, but prepared. The capital's inscription lights pulsed low calibration heartbeat. Midterm week slept or panicked around her. The institution prepared theater with consequences. Nova prepared metrics, fault database open, exam calibration tag glowing in private cipher like a model getting truer. The work continued. The catalog lived in her skull now the way anchor coordinates lived in her skull, not as list, as structure. Nova had memorized 14 cipher text restricted, 3 sever school text restricted, and 1 entry that hummed in her teeth whenever she passed the 4th floor aisle even when no desk was near. K. Vein, unregistered acquisition, held for review. Clearance rank 5 and faculty sponsor. She had not memorized titles the way students memorized examination strings. She had memorized routing grammar, which cluster each acquisition belonged to, which authentication subset each shelf mark implied, which gaps between public index and restricted inventory repeated the same institutional hand Torin had described without naming. Night work was integration. Day work was the same careful rank 3 performance that had kept Head's clipboard from gaining adjectives since the breach 3 weeks ago, supervised research blocks, scholarship annex hours. Practical review without cipher bleed at the edges when fatigue lowered her guard. Between the two she built the overlay nobody was meant to see. 19 anchor nodes in academy jurisdiction, 12 in embassy memory from summer. Fault database clusters A through E cross-referenced until cluster B authentication grammar and restricted section catalog maintenance shared 96% notation match at the Northeast Loop subset Caden had confirmed in October without asking for alliance. She linked sever school restricted texts to cluster C missing exception handlers. She linked 14 cipher restricted texts to more appendix density and Torrens pre-archive copy, and her mother's flagged rank 6 research line she carried in the bag and did not show corridors. She linked K. Vane held for review to the proof she had not yet held. Registered submission disappeared. East wing desk at the manor. Drawer copy magnificent and incomplete. Restricted catalog entry the hum of a door she could not open legally without rank 5. Legal was the word Caden had used in 45 words at her dormitory door. Rank 5. 3 ranks on paper if paper were honest. She had written in the notebook after he left. Caden, dormitory. Restricted access goals stated legal. Rank 5. Not alliance. Not forgiveness. Clock still running somewhere I cannot see. Do not write his name beside operational paths. The notebook attribution was hers. The caution was Torrens' inheritance. She worked integration in the bathroom at second hour when Sierra slept and Celine snored and Mara wrote letters home about tuition variance. She worked with the hum in her teeth as secondary sense. Catalog text 17, pre-suppression self-modifying notation, safety preamble amputated in public stacks. Mapped to anchor node 4 at the practice hall foundation corner and cluster C branch density at page 41 of the memorized table of contents she had reconstructed from 17 seconds inside grammar. Catalog text 9, more companion restricted, annotation histories severed from main curriculum, mapped to node 11 at the Eastern Lecture Wing basement junction and to Caden's margin on page 142 without writing his name on the overlay. Catalog text 22, sever school fragment, transition language and acquisition notes, no public record. Mapped to Torrens' faded copy fingerprint and cluster E unnamed hypothesis pressing against the inside of her skull with the insistence of infrastructure pretending to be heritage. She did not write the hypothesis. She wrote operational correlations. Pren found her at the scholarship annex on a morning when patrons were few and Leora was arguing conductivity with a boy who thought variance bands were personality. He said, quietly, Torren wants the integration summary in memory only. Nova set down the demonstration stone. She said, summary of what? Pren glanced at Mara. Mara became very interested in conductivity. Pren said, restricted catalog cross-reference to fault clusters. He did not say restricted. He said catalog cross-reference. Nova said, did he say how much? Pren said, he said enough that I know you have it, and not enough that I could repeat it in a corridor. She filed that. Torren channel via Pren because Thursday office drew gallery rails and heads pipeline had sharpened since the breach rumor she had not confirmed and everyone had not confirmed and the 4th floor nonetheless felt watched in a new register. She said, tell him cluster B and catalog desk share northeast loop. Tell him sever restricted texts align with cluster C exception grammar at 91% on the 3 I could verify from memory. Tell him K, Vane entry hum matches node 19 at the inscription garden retaining wall. Pren's joy tightened. He said, node 19. She said, you don't have the map. He said, I have enough to know you're not doing architectural history. Nova looked at him. Scholarship student who had walked to Torren with a rank 4 perimeter fault in year 1 because simulations lied. She said, I'm doing documentation. Torren supervises. He said, that's his line. She said, it's also true. He nodded. The nod was acceptance or surrender or both. He said caution. One word. Same as after the inquiry. Nova said, I heard it the first time. Pren left with failure mode folio and the expression of someone carrying data he could not unpack in the annex corridor. Torren himself did not summon her that week. Summons were visibility. Notes through Pren were architecture. On Thursday, she sat in his office hour line with a legitimate question about humidity bridges and 3 students ahead of her discussing conductivity like the world was simple. When she entered alone, Pren had stayed in the annex. Torren closed the door. He said, integration. Not question. Nova said, in memory. He said, show me one correlation. Not on paper. She said, restricted acquisition routing for cipher cluster 3 uses authentication loop timing identical to catalog desk maintenance at rotation handoff. Below threshold presence treated as rank verification twice. Same fault family as perimeter revisions 7 partial patch. Torrance' pen stopped. He said, "You verified live." She did not answer that directly. Live was an adjective. He said, "Caution." She said, "How much?" He said, "Enough that heads liaisons asked whether scholarship documentation standards included catalog cross-reference methodology." Her stomach tightened without performance. He said, "I told them serious students compare index to shelves. I told them you compare index to shelves under supervision. I told them Prenlog's failure modes, not acquisition routes." She said, "Is that true?" He looked at the ceiling. He said, "Sufficiently." She almost smiled. "Almost." He said, "The catalog you have in memory, do not speak it in my office again. Do not speak it in Pren's hearing unless operational need exceeds corridor risk." She said, "Operational need is maturing." He did not ask what that meant. He knew enough. Overlap without alliance. Trust without full map. That was still correct. Night work after Thursday was not discovery. It was stress testing the overlay, which nodes shared grammar with which restricted shelf marks, which fault clusters predicted which authentication failures, which below threshold windows remained viable after Torrance' partial perimeter patch, and heads increased fourth floor presence. She walked the Eastern Lecture Wing at natural pace during supervised block. She passed the catalog desk during research hour when head was elsewhere, and the hum matched node 11 at 93%. She touched the inscription garden retaining wall with her palm flat and felt node 19 resonate through stone and vine pattern exception gap and the summer embassy receiving hall memory layered underneath, like a chord she had learned to hear without flinching. 19. 14 cipher texts in catalog memory. 3 sever. 1K, vein. Fault database clusters linked. The map was no longer geography. It was argument dressed as maintenance notation. Caden was adjacent one evening in the library. Not more. Forge tables opened to a page he had already memorized. She sat. She did not look at him. He said, without looking up, "Practical examination in 6 weeks." Her pen stopped. 1 beat. She said, "The schedule posted yesterday." He said, "Crane requested observer seating." Nova went still. He said, "Administrative. Routine." She said, "You don't believe that." He said, "No." Silence. Operational. He said, "Rank 3 performance won't hold if the examination includes ambient variance." She said, "The curriculum includes ambient variance." He said, "Not at the level you're carrying." 40 words again. Corridors listened. She said, "I'm carrying what the board requires." He closed the forge text. He stood. He said, "The board is wrong about ceilings." He walked away. She sat with cipher ink steady and the hum in her teeth louder than it had been an hour ago, and the integration overlay settling into something that felt less like homework and more like a key she had not yet turned. Head appeared at the library gallery rail on 9th hour, clipboard, stillness, the filing instinct that preferred evidence without adjectives. She cleared her corral before he finished his circuit. He wrote. She left. Sierra said at dinner, "You're integrating something." Nova said, "Midterm aftermath." Sierra said, "Not that." Nova said, "Everything connects if you look long enough." Sierra held her gaze 1 beat longer than social comfort required. She said, "When it connects, tell me if I need to document again." Nova said, "You will." The lamp burned low. She wrote in the notebook at 2nd hour. Integration complete, catalog memory cross-reference to 19 nodes, fault DB clusters E, sever restricted to cluster C, cipher restricted to more, Torrens/mother line. K, vein to node 19 hum. Torrent channel, caution via Pren, 1 correlation shown Thursday. Caden, Crane observer seating for practical exam. Head, liaisons asked documentation standards. Night work continues. Public rank 3. Private rank 4 held. Next, examination calibration. The catalog was not on paper. The map was not on paper. The argument was in memory where seizure required tools she had not seen head carry. She slept in short cycles, dreamed of shelf marks that hummed like doors and a northeast loop that treated presence as rank twice and called itself secure, and woke before the alarm. Integration held. The work continued. The invitation arrived on creamstock with the Grand Archivist's seal pressed deep enough to leave tooth marks in the fiber. Nova read it at breakfast while Mara debated whether variance bands counted as romantic and Celine speculated about examination seating like spectacle was the point of inscription. Dear Lady Novalis, the Year 2 practical examination advances several cohorts whose work I have followed with interest. I will attend as observer on the 14th. If your schedule permits before that date, I would welcome a brief conversation in my office regarding your continued studies and the historical equivalency review of cipher notation under current Academy standards. Warm regards. Vethon Crane, Grand Archivist. Warm was the word that made her set the card down carefully instead of crushing it. Warm was genuine in Crane's mouth. Warm was also architecture. She wrote in the notebook before second hour. Crane, observer seating confirmed for practical examination, 14th. Invitation to office re-cipher equivalency review. Warmth operational. Threat model pride before acceptance. Sierra said, you're staring at stationery like it owes you money. Nova said, it might. Sierra said, Crane. Nova said, he's attending the examination. Sierra's fork paused. She said, that's not routine. Nova said, nothing about Year 2 has been routine. Mara said, is that good or bad? Nova said, that's data. Celine said, vain data is always both. Nova almost smiled. Almost. Torin's response came through Pren at the annex, not a note, a sentence wrapped in conductivity homework. He said accept the meeting. He said do not demonstrate. He said equivalency review is a door, not a room. Nova said, did he say which kind of door? Pren said he looked at the ceiling. She filed ceiling. Ceiling meant insufficiently safe to answer directly. She said, tell him I'll go. Pren said, when? She said, day before the examination. Close enough to be courtesy. Far enough that whatever he calibrates won't sit in my hands overnight. Pren nodded. Documentation channel carrying strategy because Thursday office was a photograph waiting to happen. Head appeared in the advanced theory corridor that afternoon, clipboard absent for once. Eyes present, the calibration mode she had learned to read after the inquiry. He said, Lady Vane. The archivist's office has requested your examination proctor assignment be elevated to senior review. Nova said, why? He said, unusual advancement candidates receive unusual observation. Not unusual. Expected if Crane was attending. She said, I perform approved notation. He said, I know. The sentence was not reassurance. It was acknowledgement that approved notation had edges and she lived at them. He said, do not perform small. The phrase landed like Rian's one-line reply routed through embassy drop, family grammar disguised as advice. She said, I perform what the examination requires. Head's eyes did not smile. His mouth almost did. He said, requirements expand. He walked away. She stood in the corridor and threat-modeled Pride the way she threat-modeled perimeter faults, inputs, outputs, failure conditions. Input 1. Crane's godfather warmth. Genuine grief for Kira. Genuine delight in inscription theory spoken competently. Genuine belief that the approved framework protected magic from catastrophe. Input 2. Crane's institutional position. Grand Archivist. Pipeline terminus for heads reports. Forge records requests on practice hall corners. Restricted checkout logs. Pre-archive records with her mother's name flagged and removed lines about removal being policy. Input 3. Nova's public trajectory. Rank 3 posted. Private rank 4 held. Restricted catalog in memory. 19 nodes mapped. Counter-inscription at combat practice witnessed. Second on walls that posted. First in places that did not. Output if she performed small at the examination. Crane disappointed. Warmth cooling into reassessment. Pipeline shifting from cultivate to contain. Output if she performed large. Crane proud. Visible pleasure. Godfather affection strengthening the bond that made containment harder later because pride was leverage dressed as love. She thought, he is proud of her. She had not earned that thought yet. She earned it in anticipation and hated the accuracy. Pride in a godfather was not safety. Pride in an archivist was filing. Pride in the vaulted circle's architect, unnamed in her notebook, named in her threat model, was the most dangerous output because it felt like belonging. She wrote in the notebook, "Threat model, Crane pride. Warmth genuine. Pride institutional investment in my ceiling. If proud, harder to refuse guidance, harder to hide map, easier for head to justify scrutiny as mentorship. If disappointed, contain path accelerates. No perform small option at exam. Calibrate public rank 4 without private rank 5 bleed. Meeting day 13, listen, do not demonstrate, do not confess catalog. Equivalency review, he wants to know how I read cipher without asking how I breached memory." The Grand Archivist's office sat in the Academy's administrative wing like a room that had been old when the capital was young, white and silver fittings, books older than most family names, windows that looked out on inscription gardens with the calm of someone who believed gardens were decoration rather than Node 19. Crane rose when she entered. That was the first tell. Institutions did not rise for second-year students unless the student was also family. He said Nova, not Lady Novalis. "Nova," she said, "Grand Archivist." He almost smiled. He said, "Vethon, when we're alone. You used to try." She had not used to try. The old Nova had performed deference. She said, "I'm learning when alone applies." He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Tea waited, not offered as dominance, offered as habit. She sat. She did not touch the cup until he did. "Procedure." He said, "Your mother loved this room. Not bait. Grief with temperature." Nova said, "She loved notation more than rooms." He laughed quiet, surprised, the laugh of someone who had forgotten being argued with accurately. He said, "Yes. Beat." He said, "I will observe your practical examination." She said, "I saw the invitation." He said, "I wanted you to hear it from me." She said, "Why?" He said, "Because you are developing in directions the Academy's posted rankings understate. Heads report language without heads clipboard." She said, "I perform what supervision requires." He said, "I know." Same sentence head had used. Different temperature. Head meant filing. Crane meant cultivation. He said, "Cipher under historical equivalency review is legal notation. You know this?" She said, "Scholar Torin confirmed it." He said, "Torin is careful." She said, "So am I." Crane looked at her hands. Godfather assessment or archivist assessment, both layered. He said, "I am not asking you to perform small." There it was. Rian through Crane's mouth. Family grammar routed through institution. She said, "What are you asking?" He said, "That you show the examination what honest work looks like when the ceiling is not sky." Her breath stayed even. Ceiling was lid. He knew the metaphor or something close to it. He said, "The world is not ready for every innovation at once. That is not the same as saying innovation is wrong." Transition language. Sever school vocabulary without sever name. She said, "My mother believed publication had timing." His expression did not change. She had tested a line. He said, "Your mother believed many things. Some of them she was right about." She filed. He would not say she was wrong about publication. He would not say the submission was received. He said, "Come to me after the examination if you have questions about equivalency pathways." Rank advancement is not only performance. It is also standing. Standing was rank 5 language without rank 5. Legal access language without restricted name. She said, "I'll remember." He said, "I know you will." Warmth like a hand on the back of her neck, affection she could not afford to lean into and could not afford to refuse. She stood when he stood. He said, "I'm proud of the student you're becoming." The sentence hit before the examination. Before the hall went quiet. Before visible pleasure she had threat modeled and still was not ready for. She said, "Thank you." Polite. Contained. He said, "Not yet for what I think you're proud of." She met his eyes. He said, "You'll understand after the 14th. She left with tea cooling in a cup she had barely touched and the sentence living in her ribs like a fault waiting for live test. Caden was on the practice hall path when she returned. He said, "You went." Not question. She said, "Yes." He said, "Did he ask about restricted?" She said, "He asked about ceilings." He said, "What did you say?" She said, "That my mother had timing." Silence. 40 words approaching 50, extravagant by their standards. He said, he's scheduling Pride. She said, I know. He said, what are you going to do with it? She said, perform what the examination requires. He looked at her. He said, that's not an answer. She said, it's the only one that keeps me alive in the hall. He walked away. Head watched from the gallery rail at practical review that evening, clipboard back, filing restored. She performed rank 3, clean emergent branch, approved skeleton, cipher hidden at edges. Torin had taught her to compress until proctors saw diligence. Head wrote, Crane was not present. Crane did not need to be present for the pipeline to move. Pren said at the annex, Torin wants to know what Crane said. Nova said, he said he's proud. Pren went pale. He said, that's... She said, a problem. He said, yeah. She taught variance bands for 20 minutes because teaching was cover and kindness and the only way to make her hands steady. Sarah found her at the night tower window on day 12. Sarah said, you're threat modeling a godfather. Nova said, I'm threat modeling Pride. Sarah said, same thing sometimes. Nova said nothing. Sarah said, when he watches you on the 14th, document what witnesses say. I'll be in the gallery. Nova said, Torin first. Sarah said, Torin first. The Capitol's inscription lights pulsed low calibration heartbeat. She wrote in the notebook, Crane meeting, Pride stated pre-exam. Ceiling/lid language. Mother publication timing tested, deflected. Equivalency pathway offered post-exam. Observer confirmed. Head, senior review proctor assignment. Caden, Pride scheduled. Sarah, witness template ready. Day 13, rest calibration. Day 14, public rank 4 if board requires. Private held above. Pride is problem. The examination was tomorrow. Anticipation held without comfort. She slept in short cycles, dreamed of warm hands and filing cabinets that shared a lock, and woke before the alarm. Pride was waiting in the hall. She would give it something true and survive the shape of his face when truth arrived. That was the plan. Plans were procedure. The Year 2 practical examination was held in the Grand Inscription Hall on a morning cold enough that cipher ink showed sharp against gray demonstration stone, and the raised faculty gallery held silence, like a held breath before a verdict. Nova had spent day 13 in deliberate rest, not sleep, calibration. Short cycle mana layer. Approved notation run at rank 3 in the bathroom with the door locked. Humidity bridge review. Failure mode template from Theo routed through embassy drop without operational words. Rian's line burned after memorizing. Do not perform small. Perform what the examination requires. The board required ambient variance. The board required emergent behavior. The board did not require what she had written at midnight in the inscription garden months ago. Contact rejection by stored mana profile. Rank 4 novel compound. Private. Do not demonstrate. Today required something different. Today required a self-adjusting loop that read ambient mana levels in real time and adjusted output without collapse. Rank 4 work dressed in examination grammar. Public confirmation of what private ledger had carried since the garden stone refused her hand. She stood at her assigned tablet when the senior proctor called the hour. 3 components. Written theory completed yesterday without incident. Witnessed practical execution now. Emergent branch recognition under observation after. Master Scholar Head stood at the gallery rail with clipboard, filing restored, eyes present. Scholar Torin sat 3 rows back in the faculty section with the stillness that meant thinking, not performance. Grand Archivist Vethon Crane occupied the observer seat at the center of the raised walk, not presiding, attending, the distinction important the way distinctions always were when institutions wanted warmth without surrendering control. Caden Ashvale was not in her cohort section. Night Scholar track examined on the East Wing rotation in the afternoon. She was glad for that without examining why. She took the stylus the proctor offered, standard issue. No forge amplification, no folio smuggling. She wrote the foundation sequence in approved skeleton. Input layer. Comparison layer. Output layer. The examination prompt required sustained illumination with tolerance bands that held across ambient mana fluctuation. The kind of fluctuation capital weather produced when inscription lights pulsed low-calibration heartbeat through stone and the hall's foundation panels hummed authentication grammar at nodes she had mapped and did not look at. Rank 3 students wrote static tolerance. Rank 3 exceptional wrote emergent branches that adjusted once when variance crossed threshold. She wrote the loop. Self-referential read of ambient mana at the inscription surface. Conditional branch on delta magnitude. Output adjustment in real time, not stepped, not delayed. Continuous recalibration as levels rose and fell with the hall's collective nervous attention and the weather pressing against high windows. The grammar was cipher complete at the core. The presentation was approved at the edges. Torrens compression. Diligence instead of archaic decoration. The inscription held. The light stabilized, warm, steady, neither flare nor dim, responding when she breathed and when the proctor walked past and when a demonstration 3 tablets north spiked ambient draw briefly. The proctor's eyebrows rose. Nova did not look at Crane. She looked at the stroke. The loop read again. Adjusted again. Real time. Not simulation. Not rehearsal in a bathroom with dampened signature spikes. Witnessed. The hall went quiet. Not silence of attention, silence of recognition. The particular quiet when a room full of people who understood notation understood they were seeing taxonomy fail politely. Someone in the second-year gallery whispered and was shushed. Head's pen stopped. Torrent stillness changed temperature, not surprise, confirmation held too long in private finally crossing into public air. Crane leaned forward 1 inch. She felt it like weather. She completed the sequence. Dismissed cleanly. Wrote the notation summary on the examination slate in hand that did not shake because shaking was performance and performance was visibility and visibility was threat model variable she would manage after survival. The senior proctor approached. He said, again. Standard verification. She wrote it again. Slower. Cleaner. The loop held. Ambient mana dipped when the hall's attention dipped, her inscription compensated without instruction. Ambient mana rose when the foundation panel hummed, compensation again. Real time. Self-adjusting. Rank 4 output in Rank 4 grammar with Rank 3 presentation at the edges until the edges could no longer contain the core. The proctor said, emergent branch recognized. He said, continuous adjustment. He said, senior review. He did not say Rank 4. Rank was not spoken in halls. Rank was inferred in silence. He marked the slate. He walked to the faculty section. Low conversation, head, Torren, Crane, the proctor's hands gesturing notation shapes. Nova stood at her tablet with cipher ink drying purple-black and the hum in her teeth matching the foundation panel and the private ledger screaming, I told you the ceiling was lid not sky. She looked up once. Crane watched. Visible pleasure. Not performed warmth for gallery consumption. Genuine delight. Godfather pride. Archivist investment, the expression of a man who believed he was watching proof that cultivation worked. He is proud of her. The thought arrived without permission. Warm. Dangerous. True. This is a problem. The second thought arrived with the first's temperature already filed. Pride was leverage. Pride was pipeline acceleration. Pride was the bond that would make Rank 5 pathway conversations feel like family obligation instead of institutional negotiation. Pride was Head's clipboard gaining adjectives without Head needing to write them. She dismissed the inscription. The hall exhaled. Whispers rose her name, rank word unspoken but present, cipher whisper at the edges where students who read margins read her compression. Edwick stood near the east gallery door with 2 companions and a face that had not prepared for this morning. She filed him. Escalation incoming. Complaint trajectory probable. Visibility spike. Nova Vane no longer second on walls that mattered. Nova Vane first in the hall that mattered. The commentary line on her provisional score slip read, exceptional conditional architecture, continuous ambient adjustment, senior faculty review recommended, advancement notation pending. Pending was bureaucracy. The hall had already decided. Torren caught her eye once, not smile, not warning, acknowledgement that Thursday Channel had prepared for this and still not prepared for Crane's expression. Head wrote on his clipboard. Crane descended the observer walk after the proctor's consultation ended. He did not approach her at the tablet. Approach in front of 40 witnesses would be theater. He stopped at the aisle edge where protocol allowed brief address. He said, honest work. 2 words. Warm. Precise. Godfather. She said, thank you, Grand Archivist. Title restored for witnesses. He said, come see me when standing allows. Standing. Rank. Pathway. Legal language for doors she needed. He walked away. The hall watched his back the way halls watched archivists who never needed to raise voice. Caden was not present. She was glad. She was not glad. Both were data. Syrah found her at the hall's side door where capital wind cut through wool. Syrah said, the whole room stopped. Nova said, I noticed. Syrah said, Crane looked. Nova said, I know. Syrah said, Torin. Nova said, thinking. Syrah said, head. Nova said, writing. Syrah said, witness template ready if you need it. Nova said, not yet. Not yet was hope. Pren appeared from the scholarship cohort section with the expression of someone who had watched brilliance and institution collide and knew which would file first. He said, Torin wants you after senior review clears. She said, caution. He said, probably. Mara exploded with congratulations in the courtyard until Seelan pulled her toward lunch and Nova accepted noise because refusing it would be narrative. Edwick did not approach. Edwick watched from 20 feet with companions who had learned broken rumors did not survive mornings like this. Nova filed him. Dean complaint trajectory upgraded, passive counter insufficient, visibility management required. She wrote in the notebook at second hour in the bathroom with the door locked. Practical examination, full self-adjusting loop, ambient mana, real-time output. Public rank 4 confirmed by hall silence and senior review. Crane observer. Visible pleasure. Thought. Proud. Thought. Problem. Head clipboard active. Torin. Acknowledgement. Syrah. Witness standby. Edwick. Watching. Perform what required. Done. Next. Aftermath management. Public rank 3 was dead in every room that mattered. Public rank 4 was alive. Private rank 4 was no longer alone. The gap had narrowed to what she chose not to show, and gaps were where she survived. She breathed until breath matched hum. The hall's quiet lived in her ribs beside Crane's pride. Both would follow her out. Both required procedure. She went to find Torin. The work continued rank 4 in the open air now, the lid with the whole witnesses could see. She would measure the draft and decide what to feed it next. That was afternoon's problem. Morning had required honesty, and honesty had arrived with the problem attached. She filed both and moved. Visibility was a resource you spent whether you planned to or not. Nova spent the first 3 days after the practical examination like a scholarship student who had accidentally become a case study, accepting congratulations she did not want, deflecting questions she could not answer in corridors, performing calm in the scholarship annex while Pren logged witness phrasing and Mara treated rank 4 like a personal victory and Seelan treated it like gossip infrastructure. The Academy's response stratified by proximity. Second-year cohorts whispered cipher at the edges of her compression until Torin's teaching assistant reminded a lecture hall that historical equivalency review made archaic grammar legal, and the whisperers were not as clever as they thought. Night Scholar track heard in the afternoon rotation, Caden's section, she was told, went quiet the same way, different hour, same taxonomy failure. She did not seek confirmation. Confirmation was visibility. First-year students looked at her in hallways with the recalibration envy always produced when posted rankings moved faster than social scripts allowed. Faculty looked at her hands. Head looked at her hands most. Master Scholar Head requested a supplementary review on day 2, not inquiry, review, the softer architecture of institutions that had already decided something and wanted the decision filed cleanly. His office smelled like paper that had never been wrong in public. He did not offer tea. He offered the slate. He said, reproduce the examination sequence. Rank 4 parameters. Witnessed. Not please. Nova took the stylus. She wrote the self-adjusting loop. Same structure. Same real-time ambient read. Same compression at edges where cipher hid in diligence. The inscription held. Head watched without clipboard for the first minute. Then clipboard returned. Filing restored. When the stroke completed, he said, "Explain the continuous branch." Nova said, "Ambient mana at the inscription surface varies with collective draw and weather. Static tolerance fails or overcorrects. Loop reads delta, adjusts output proportionally, maintains band without manual dismissal." Head said, "That is not in the Year 2 curriculum." Nova said, "That is in the examination requirement." Silence. His eyes did not smile. His mouth did not either. He said, "Scholar Torrens channel." Not question. She said, "Scholarship students document variance. Torrens supervises. True enough to travel." Head said, "Grand Archivist Crane has requested your advancement notation be expedited." She said, "I perform what review requires." He said, "Review requires you stop pretending the ceiling is rank 3. The sentence landed without heat. Heat would have been easier. Heat she could file as hostility. Calm was calibration. He said, "I am submitting a report." She said, "I know." He said, "Do not give me adjectives I cannot file." She said, "I'll perform approved notation." He almost smiled. Almost. He said, "Perform that." She left with the slate dismissed and the report already writing itself in the pipeline above her like weather she could not outrun. Crane's office sent a note on day 3, cream stock, warm seal, shorter than the invitation. Post-examination conversation. Equivalency pathways. Standing. She scheduled it for day 5. Far enough to let Head's report travel. Close enough to show courtesy. Torrens Thursday came on day 4. Door closed. 3 students in line outside discussing conductivity like the world had not changed. Inside, Torrens said, "Public rank 4. Not congratulations. Assessment." Nova said, "Confirmed." He said, "Crane proud." She said, "Visible." He said, "Problem." She said, "I threat modeled it." He looked at the ceiling. He said, "Threat models are not armor." She said, "They're procedure." He accepted that. He said, "Head's report will reach Crane before your meeting." She said, "I know." He said, "Do not confess catalog in Crane's office." She said, "I won't." He said, "Do not confess map." She said, "I won't." He said, "Do not perform small." Family grammar again, Rian, Crane, the sentence migrating between mouths like a fault that kept opening at the same threshold. She said, "I already performed large." He said, "Then perform careful." 1 word upgrade. Caution sibling. She said, "How much careful?" He said, "Enough that Pren logs failure modes, not acquisition routes. Enough that you clear your corral. Enough that Edwick's complaint gains no purchase." Edwick. Day 3 afternoon. Dean's office received a formal concern regarding scholarship student advancement irregularities and historical notation review enabling archaic grammar in witnessed examination. Edwick's hand in the phrasing without Edwick's courage to sign alone. The concern was logged. The concern was dismissed. Nova learned this from Mara, who learned from Seelan, who learned from a patron's nephew who thought information was currency. Nova filed Edwick. Diminished but not gone, visibility spike made him desperate, passive counter no longer sufficient, do not engage, do not perform reaction, let dismissal be institution's answer. Sierra documented the dismissal chain anyway, names, order, exact phrasing, witness template ready, and used, valuable. Caden appeared at the library corral on day 4 evening. Adjacent. Forge tables. 40 words budget. He said, "You did it." Not question. She said, "The examination required it." He said, "That's not why you did it." Silence. She said, "Rank 4 public changes the threat model." He said, "Crane." She said, "Proud." He said, "Head." She said, "Writing." He said, "Me." She looked at him. First direct eye contact in 6 days. She said, "You're still watching." He said, "Yes." He said, "Rank 5 is 2 away on paper now." Paper was not honest. She said, "Legal access still requires standing." He said, "I know what you want in restricted." 45 words at the dormitory door echoed. She did not confirm. Confirmation was corridor risk. He closed the forged text. He stood. He said, "Do not let pride make you small in the wrong direction." He walked away. She sat with the sentence longer than 40 words deserved. Pride making her smile in the wrong direction would be performing gratitude for Crane's warmth while handing him the map. Pride making her smile in the wrong direction would be refusing standing that legal access required. The direction mattered. She wrote in the notebook. Aftermath Day 4, Head Supplementary Review, reproduced Rank 4 loop, report incoming. Crane meeting Day 5. Torin, perform careful. Edwick Dean concern dismissed, logged by Sierra. Caden, Rank 5 distance acknowledged. Visibility spike, managed via ordinary scholarship behavior, no demonstrations, corral cleared. Public Rank 4. Private held above. Academy whispers cipher, legal, equivalency review. Next, Crane standing conversation without confession. Visibility management was performance. Performance was not false when calibrated. She taught variance bands at the annex for 2 hours on Day 4 because teaching was kindness and cover. She helped Leora with conductivity because help was camouflage. She ate lunch in the scholarship section with ordinary noise because ordinary was the only costume that fit after a hall went quiet. Head past the catalog desk on Day 5 morning, clipboard, stillness, the filing instinct. She cleared her corral before he finished his circuit. He wrote. She left. Crane's office at second hour. Tea. Warm. Vethon went alone. He said, you gave the hall honest work. She said, I gave the examination what it required. He said, same thing. Not same thing. Requirement was survival. Honest was architecture. He said, standing pathways open for Rank 4 confirmation and advanced equivalency review. Faculty sponsor required for certain archives. Archives without restricted name. She said, Scholar Torin supervises my channel. He said, I know. He said, Head's report is favorable with caution. Favorable with caution was Head's love language. He said, I am proud of you. Second time. Post-examination. Warmer. More dangerous because earn now. She said, thank you. She did not lean. He said, come to me when you need doors opened. Doors. Rank 5 language again. Legal language. She said, I'll remember. She left with tea barely touched and pride living in her ribs beside the hall's quiet and Head's caution and the visibility she was spending down to manageable levels one ordinary afternoon at a time. The results board updated at third hour. Nova Vane, Rank 4, Advanced Theory Continuation, Senior Faculty Review complete. Second on the annual wall where annual wall still posted deliberate history, deliberate second places in assessments that did not matter. First in the hall that mattered. First in Head's report. First in Crane's pride. Visibility spike managed not eliminated. Managed was survival. She wrote in the notebook at night, aftermath complete enough, Rank 4 public confirmed on board. Head favorable with caution. Crane, standing pathways, pride restated. Edwick complaint dismissed. Visibility managed via ordinary. Caden watching. Sierra witness file ready. Torin, careful. Next, Year 2 win toward close without confession. Map held. Catalog held. Legal access still Rank 5 goal. Year 2 was settling into new patterns that looked like advancement from the outside and like fuse shortening from the inside. She slept in short cycles, dreamed of clipboards that smiled and halls that went quiet, and woke before the alarm. Visibility was spent. Procedure remained. Torin closed the office door on a Thursday when the corridor was empty and the capital rain made windows weep condensation onto sills like the building was sweating. Nova sat with legitimate humidity homework and illegitimate attention. Torin said, I've been reading acquisition dates. Not her acquisition dates. Not restricted catalog memory she had not confessed. He opened his drawer, not the pre-archive copy, a folio she had not seen, spine anonymous, pages dense with his hand. He said, 7 researchers. For years. I did not start with a thesis. I started with gaps. Nova did not move. Movement was visibility. Stillness was listening. He said, innovation published. Innovation praised or ignored. Within 2 years, career destruction, institutional review, accident, disappearance from curriculum citation. Pattern holds across 7 names. Different notation schools. Same outcome shape. He did not show her the names. Not yet. Not full ch83 reveal. He turned one page, finger on a redacted line where institution had eaten identity. He said, I've told no one because telling without protection is volunteering for the pattern. She said, why tell me? He said, because you placed second deliberately for years, and then wrote rank 4 in a hall Crane attended and you're still clearing your corral. She almost smiled. Almost. He said, because you document failure modes like your mother documented assumptions. Mother. Drawer copy. Magnificent. Incomplete. He did not say K. Vain. He did not need to. She said, the pattern isn't random. He said, no. She said, suppression dressed as transition. His eyes sharpened. Sever vocabulary without sever name. He said, you have language you should not have in my office. She said, I have reading. True enough to travel. He closed the folio. He said, how much map? Not do you have map? How much? Thursday channel upgrading under pressure of 7 names and public rank 4 and Crane's pride pipeline. She said, 19 in academy jurisdiction. His pen stopped. He said, complete. Not question. She said, complete enough. He said, embassy. She said, 12 summer. Not in this folio. He said, show me academy subset. Not on paper. Nova looked at the door. Corridors listened. Paper was seizure. Memory was procedure. She said, practice hall foundation corner, node 1, cluster B authentication, links to catalog desk northeast loop. Eastern lecture wing basement junction, node 11, same loop family, restricted routing correlation. Inscription garden retaining wall, node 19, K, vein catalog hum match, 94% bind pattern exception gap. Torin stillness changed. Thinking becoming operational picture. He said, connected infrastructure. She did not name it. Naming was CH90. Naming was silence erased in Midnight Garden. She said, if I'm right about what it is, we need people with rank and legal standing before we move. His sentence from a future she had not spoken aloud, threat modeled from pattern, not prophecy. He said, who? She said, I'll know when I have rank 5. His breath left slow. He said, that's not an answer. She said, it's the only one that's true. Beat. He said, the 7, I'm not ready to list them in a room with walls. She said, I'm not ready to hear them without witness protocol. He said, Sierra. She said, Torin first. He almost smiled. Almost. He said, caution upgraded. She said, how much? He said, enough that Pren logs failure modes. Enough that you do not show Ashvale the subset I just received. Enough that Crane's standing conversation does not become confession because pride feels like family. Pride again. Problem again. She filed Torin hearing Crane's language without Crane in the room. He said, year 2 is winding. Not calendar winding, arc winding. Pressure consolidating. Map complete enough. Catalog in memory. Public rank 4. Private still above. Legal access still rank 5 goal Caden new in 45 words. 7 researchers pattern without names. She said, what happens when year 2 ends? He said, people who file patterns get filed. She said, then we don't file prematurely. He said, we document. Documentation was Pren's courage. Documentation was Sierra's witness template. Documentation was her notebook with attribution. She said, the below threshold hole still opens. He said, I know. He said, patched is what administration wanted. Same sentence Pren had carried. Partial fix. Grammar hole persists. Operational path still viable. She did not say breach. Breach was done. Memory was done. Next was standing. Next was doors. Next was 7 names when protection existed. He slid the folio back in the drawer. He said, Thursday continues. She said, careful continues. He said, yes. She left with humidity homework and 3 notes spoken aloud in a room with walls and 16 held in memory and 12 embassy held in summer and 7 researchers held in Torin's drawer without names. Pren found her at the annex that evening. He said, Torin said you might need failure mode logs consolidated for faculty channel review. Nova said, did he say why? Pren said, he said year 2 close brings auditors who love documentation. She said, then we document. They worked 2 hours, Cluster A combat practice, Cluster B authentication, perimeter revisions 7 partial patch, below threshold grammar hole still open, live test logs redacted for corridor travel. Pren said, quietly, is something coming? Nova said, something is always coming. He said, that's not comfort. She said, it's accurate. He nodded. Documentation channel holding. Caden was not adjacent that night. Caden had been scarce since the examination, observation distance recalibrating, hostile log evolving, rank 5 distance shortened on paper. She noticed absence the way she noticed all his patterns. Filed. Not interpreted. Syrah said at dinner, Torin looked like he swallowed a folio. Nova said, humidity homework. Syrah said, you're bad at lying to me. Nova said, I'm good at delaying. Syrah said, when delay ends? Nova said, witness template. Syrah said, Torin first. Nova said, always. Mara asked whether rank 4 meant private tutoring fees changed. Nova said, it means I help more carefully. Seelan asked whether Crane adoption rumors were true. Nova said, study. Edwick was not at dinner. Edwick was at the edges of rooms again, watching, filing nothing useful, diminished but not extinct. Year 2's last week settled into examination aftermath rhythm, advanced theory, scholarship annex, Corel cleared, no demonstrations, ordinary costume worn over map and catalog and 7-name pattern without names. Crane sent no further invitations. Warmth rested in pipeline, pride filed, standing pathways open, doors language waiting. Head's clipboard persisted favorable with caution translated into gallery rail appearances at Practical Review, where she performed rank 4 now without pretense and without private bleed. The gap narrowed to choice. Choice was still survival. At night she integrated Torin 7 without the list, pattern overlay on fault database, innovation destroyed within 2 years mapping to cluster C missing handlers and sever restricted texts and 14 cipher acquisitions memorized. Same institutional hand Torin had described as same hand or same institution before she had language for vaulted circle. She did not write vaulted circle. She wrote in the notebook, Torin 7 researchers pattern disclosed, names withheld. Suppression shape confirmed. Academy map subset shared, nodes 1, 11, 19 with cluster links. Full 19 held. Embassy 12 held. Rank 5 before move. Pren, consolidated failure logs. Year 2 winding. Season close approaching without hypothesis named. Caden, distance recalibrating. Edwick, edge watch. Crane, pride filed, no new contact. Head, ongoing. Public rank 4. Private held. Legal access goal continues. Year 2 month 5 was winding. Aftermath was visibility spent. 7 names still withheld for protection insufficient, but procedure held. Not yet vaulted circle named proof insufficient. Enough to know the pattern. Enough to know the map. Enough to know rank 5 was not ambition only standing, legal access, mother's text, doors Crane offered with Godfather temperature. She stood at the inscription garden retaining wall on the walk back from annex hours. Node 19 hummed under her palm. Catalog memory hummed with it. K. Vein held for review. 7 researchers destroyed after publication. 19 nodes pretending heritage. Pride in an archivist's eyes. Head's caution. Caden's clock somewhere she could not see. Torin's folio in a drawer. The work continued. Year 2 was winding toward its close. She breathed until breath matched hum. Not yet endgame. Not yet confession. Not yet alliance. But enough for tonight. Procedure held. She went inside. The tower slept around her. The map slept in memory. The pattern slept in Torin's drawer without names. Tomorrow would ask for more, and she would calibrate when it did. She always did.